Are we watching justice unfold or the greatest performance of Blake Lively's career? Last night on Late Night with Seth Meyers, Blake Lively strutted into the spotlight for her first major public interview since the Justin Baldoni scandal erupted. And from the moment she stepped onto that stage, something felt off. From the awkward energy to the calculated quips, it was clear. This wasn't a candid conversation. This was a media play, scripted, polished, and dripping in strategic silence. She opened the interview in a dress so large it swallowed Seth's tiny studio chairs. It was impossible to ignore, and maybe that was the point, because if you're busy laughing about how she couldn't fit into the seat, you're probably not asking why she hasn't answered a single real question about the lawsuit. The moment screamed distraction. And the audience? They played along. Applause, laughter, polite banter. But for those watching closely, the tension was unmistakable. Then came the small talk. Martinis, ice cubes, gin brands. Not just any gin either. Seth nudged her about her husband Ryan Reynolds' gin company. But surprise, this time it wasn't his. It was the director's gin. And in that one moment, Seth may have exposed the undercurrent of this whole appearance. Product placement, casual name-dropping, and a carefully curated list of topics. It was friendly, too friendly, and it begged the question, who's really running this interview? Instead of diving into the controversy, Blake took a detour into Frozen. Yes, Frozen. Out of nowhere, she started singing and quoting scenes about ice. The topic? A callback to a joke in her new film. But what she really did was turn the conversation cold. Every time it got warm, close to the truth, she backed away. From ice to nap time, she was spinning fluff, not facing fire. And Seth? He wasn't pushing. In fact, he opened the segment by saying he wasn't totally informed on the situation. A late-night host who does full monologues about celebrity scandals suddenly plays dumb? Please. This is a man who dissects political campaigns in under 90 seconds. Claiming ignorance here wasn't innocence, it was insulation. A legal firewall in case the story implodes later. He was smiling, nodding, and giving Blake the softest landing possible. Then, just when it seemed like we might finally get real, Blake brought up her daughters. She called them her lifeline, said they gave her strength on dark days. She spoke about pretending to be at Disneyland every day to stay upbeat for them. It was touching until you remembered what the lawsuit actually alleges. Isolation, psychological pressure, domestic conflict, public silence. Critics noticed the pivot. They called it weaponized motherhood, using emotion to dodge accountability. Blake painted herself as the overburdened mom, soldiering through private pain. But the question echoed, if this year was so unbearable, how is she everywhere? Movie premieres, photo ops, press junkets, Netflix deals, that doesn't scream retreat. That screams rebrand. And behind the scenes, something even stranger was happening. Page 6 ran a summary of the interview before it aired, which means someone fed them the talking points in advance. That someone, sources say, was Blake's PR team. This wasn't a reaction, it was a rollout. The public never had a chance to process the actual content of the interview. The press did it for them. That's not transparency, that's manipulation. It gets darker. Quiet rumblings inside the industry tell a very different story. Several executives and producers reportedly backed away from Baldoni, not because of solid evidence, but because of fear. Fear of getting iced out by Ryan Reynolds. One producer, speaking off-record, called them the new untouchables. One wrong word, one subtle criticism, and your project's dead. Doors close. That's not just influence. That's intimidation. And what about Justin Baldoni? The man at the center of the storm has lost nearly everything. His agency dropped him. Streaming deals vanished. Public appearances, gone. He hasn't said a word. Not one televised rebuttal. No red carpet redemption. No pity tour. Just silence. Meanwhile, Blake is being applauded on national television for what exactly? Saying she had a hard year? When Seth finally circled around to the obvious, it was laughably soft. You're in a position where you can't say much, he offered, but Blake could say anything she wanted. And she did. Carefully, emotionally, strategically. She said, this year was full of highs and lows. She said fear keeps women silent, and she thanked other women for giving her the strength to speak out. But here's the catch. She wasn't silenced. She had the stage, the cameras, the audience, the final word. The only one silenced in this saga is Baldoni, and that flips the narrative completely. The most disturbing part? According to multiple journalists, Blake and Ryan are quietly exerting pressure across Hollywood. Reporters backing off, platforms skipping coverage, talent afraid to talk. One film insider claimed their streaming pitch was rejected because they refused to paint Blake in a positive light. Others say Ryan's influence, combined with Blake's legal threats, has created a chilling effect. People aren't just scared of the lawsuit, they're scared of retaliation. And yet, here we are, watching Blake Lively declare herself a voice for all women, a symbol of resilience, a victim, a fighter. But the cracks are showing, the inconsistencies mount. Her lawsuit says she couldn't leave the house. Yet paparazzi, photos show her smiling on city streets days later. She says she needed time to heal, yet she was shooting promos and giggling with Seth. It doesn't add up. Was this about justice or optics? Because when someone holds the mic, dominates the media, scripts the story, and paints themselves as the victim while their alleged abuser disappears without a platform, that's not balance. That's branding. And that ending? The soft thank yous, whispered off camera, the eyes locking with Seth's, the nervous smile. It felt like a transaction. She wasn't thanking a friend. She was thanking an ally, someone who didn't press, someone who didn't pry, someone who knew the rules. As viewers, we need to ask ourselves, are we watching truth unfold or a campaign unfold? The lines between justice and publicity have blurred. The courtroom is quiet, but the stage is loud. Blake Lively took that stage, controlled the narrative, and walked away with applause. Not answers, not closure, just applause. And for now, that might be enough. But not for long, because Hollywood is watching. Journalists are whispering. And sooner or later, the script Blake is reading from might get rewritten by someone else. Someone who's not afraid, someone who's not under contract, someone who finally asks the one question that matters. What really happened between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni? And why does everyone seem too scared to find out? Stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.